hit record. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, first, I just wanted to do this Zoom because I feel like we need a weekly game plan, you guys, because I think a lot of people, I hear things like, like goals for the month and what they want to end the month at. But the thing about weekly pay is you really want to be focusing on the week, because whatever you close out by Friday, you're paid next week. So instead of looking at it as what you want to complete by the end of the month, you're actually just giving yourself too much time. It's like that saying where I don't remember how exactly it goes, but it's like if you give a man 3 weeks to clean his house, it's going to take 3 weeks. But if you only give him 3 hours, it's going to clean the whole house in 3 hours, right? Like you have to give yourself that realistic deadline of like, okay, this week, this is what I'm going to get done this week. And that way you're not waiting till month end, you're pushing every single week. And that's how you're going to do better in your business, is if you're not waiting until the end of the month, every month, if you're just going every week. So I just really wanted to do this Zoom to kind of push you guys to really just take off this whole week. And, because when you do that, you're going to have such bigger results for month end. You could be pushing for, a rank, 1 or 2 ranks higher than what you thought at month end, because you also pushed during the week, right? So that's kind of what I wanted to start with, is that we're going to start doing very consistent weekly trainings. And I'm not sure which night. I have to figure out which night is best for people. See, if anybody has feedback on that, let me know, because I do want to get very consistent and make an actual schedule with it. That way, if there's other leaders that are doing things with their own teams, it's super easy to just remember and it's not all over the place. So definitely want to nail down a schedule. But with that being said, I don't even know like which parts of it to share, you guys. There was so much. What I want to say to you guys is like, you need to get to a silver summit. Okay. Like I cannot even put into words how much I learned this weekend. Like literally it was one of the only things in my entire life that has ever made me speechless. Like truly the amount of training that was like so intense in a good way. Like we literally learned how to present with Jake Spencer. Like he stood like right beside us and like timed us as we did each slide to make sure it was under 30 seconds so that we could do a quick presentation. And then he would give us feedback on how, like what would be better to say and how to do it. And it was just the best training I've ever gotten. And everybody is coming home knowing the best way to present and how to use your personality to present. He went over the 3 different personality types, which I thought was really cool. So you guys might appreciate this as well. We learned that there are educators, promoters, and recruiters. So the educators is somebody that is very like facts-based and they ask lots of questions. They like to, hold on, let me actually go to it. So they like to educate for the purpose of actually like helping somebody understand. Like they're very much about the facts and giving other people the facts, right? And the reason this is important is because they explained it all to us and then also showed us how we can best work with people once we know their type, right? So somebody like that would be perfect to go to and be like, hey, you would be amazing to help me out on this Zoom and train on this topic, or you would be the best person to answer these questions for the team. And you can really just pull up their skill sets, right? When you can identify that this person is an educator, right? Whereas a promoter, which is what I figured out I am, is somebody who is very much about like the storytelling and they're creative. They like pulling up, emotions rather than the facts. They base it more around like how people feel about things. They're really good at getting people excited into events. Like they're more of like that, your hype person, right? That's what the promoter is. And then the recruiter is somebody who is very much like, they like helping people if the person is helping themselves. So like they're very good at what they do. They're a hard worker. They're very coachable and like they love what they do. But if somebody is, like not listening or not doing their job, they also are not the type to like stick around and like slowly, like they're just like, okay, we're either doing this or we're not. They're very just like to the punch, right? So that was really, really cool for me, because it was actually mind-blowing to actually like sit there and recognize what type of personality you are and to be able to look at your team. Yes, Crystal, you're the educator. Hence why Crystal's going to help us out on the Zoom tonight. See, so it was actually so fun to be able to see that and then look, at people on your team and be like, this makes so much sense. This person would be good at this, and this person would be good at this. And it's so good for recognizing how you can best help people on your team. Also, if you're talking to somebody that's a prospect and you can right away tell, like, they're asking the hard questions, they're very much like, needing answers, you can tell that that person is somebody that's an educator, and then you can figure out who would be best for them to talk to, right? So, for example, Kristen was talking about like how Marielle, she's a promoter, but she's also very good at morphing into an educator if needed. So she would be a good person to bring somebody to who has those questions, right? Whereas Kristen is like the biggest promoter ever. Like, she's like your biggest hype person, right? So if you have somebody that's like, not so interested in like the hard questions, they're just like, I need to know like how this is going to help me and how I'm going to feel, Kristen is good to go to, right? So it's so good to learn about that and be able to recognize who they would be best matched with to work with. So that was really, really cool. And I thought that was just, honestly life-changing to learn things like that. And just facts like that. Like, we learned placement tips, such as, how to best help your team and how to promote in each leg. So what they recommended is, if you're pushing for silver, for example, or any rank, honestly, you want to have somebody in each leg that's the rank that you are currently. So, for example, to go for silver, if you're currently at bronze, you want to have a bronze in every single leg. And it might take a bit more time, yes, but then it is secure. You're not just going to promote and then everything drops, because you are literally building actual like leaders and teams, right? You're not just doing it to promote. Same as if you're going executive, have an executive in each leg. If you're going for elite, build elites. Like, you want to keep everybody else where you're at, right? It's not about you being above everybody. It's about helping your entire team get to where you're going so that you go together, right? So that was really cool to learn about too. And then there were some tips, such as if you're enrolling ambassadors, there's a tip, some of you might know this, but it's really smart in case you didn't know this. If you're enrolling multiple ambassadors, what's really smart is to keep them in your placement suite for as long as you can. So, for example, let's say I enrolled somebody 5 days ago, so I only have 2 more days to move them, but today I enroll another ambassador. I could place that first one under the one I enrolled today, and now I still have a whole week for that leg. So if in that week I enroll another ambassador, I can then place that 2 people under that third one, and you can literally just keep going and build a whole leg of people so that you have tons of time to figure out where you need to place it. So by the time you actually run out of time, you could have like 500, 600 volume that's all built up that you can now like take a whole leg like super far compared to where it was, right? So that's really cool to think about too. That's something that I had known about, but a lot of other people hadn't. So I thought I would share that just in case. Another thing is, make sure you're welcoming new people. If you see, a notification that somebody joined your team, reach out to that new person. And by no means is it like stepping on toes. Like, you're not gonna, be like, oh, I want to onboard you, I want to work with you. But no, you can still welcome them and be like, hey, I'm so glad you joined. If you ever need an extra person to help you out, I'll be here. Like, something that's just welcoming, right? Like, there's never too much love and support for somebody. So that's something that definitely I'm going to be doing. And just making sure you're helping the person who enrolled them as well. So if you see that somebody on your team enrolled somebody, message that person, make sure they know how to do their onboarding and how to do those things. Like, really, you just got to focus on each person as they're recruiting, right? So that's another big thing as well. Hold on, there's so many. I literally took 15 pages of notes, you guys. Like, I have never had such good training ever. Another tip they gave is that you can also create pods for new ambassadors. Again, if you're somebody who is enrolling a lot of ambassadors, what you can do, they said, it was actually Kelly, she gave us this whole training on like how to bring in mass volume and promote really fast, but also help other people promote really fast. And so she was the one who said, if you have multiple new ambassadors, create a group chat with them, introduce them right away so they know they started at the same time, they're working together, they can create relationships. But she said it's really smart to be blunt with them and say, you know, like, you guys all signed at the same time. You're all in my placement suite. I have a whole week to figure out, you know, where to place people. But regardless, one of you is going to be on top with the other ones underneath. It's going to be a straight line. Just be honest with them and say, whoever takes this the most seriously in the next week and has the most enrollments, you're going to get to be the one at the top with the other two underneath you. And it makes it into almost like a friendly competition because you're just being honest with them. You're not actually starting like, you know, like you're not starting any confrontation or anything. You're just being real. And they're going to understand that when they start their business too, is that's how we build, is by going one under the other. So you're just being honest with them. One of you is going to be at the top, and that is going to be whoever works the hardest in this week. And it's going to make them go like, oh snap, like I could have 2 ambassadors under me by the end of the week already. And if I get my 2, right, like explain it to them. If you get your 2 ambassadors and you're going to give them another 2, that's like pro already by the end of the week. Why would somebody not push for that, right? If they're, you know, not wanting to do that, they're not that serious about their business, right? So that was a huge tip for me, and so smart. So just create little like pods for people. Oh my gosh, I missed you too, Lena. I love you. Yeah, okay, so there's that. I have so much, you guys. I could literally talk for hours and hours and hours. Just want to make sure I give you guys all the best tips though, and not, I don't want to give you any of the ones that were a little like too crazy. Like we had so much training, you guys. We had multiple people tell us that apparently they changed Silver Summit every single time, depending on like who's there and like the level of leadership. And I guess this was like the most intense one they've had. Like there was like some high-end tips and like things that probably would scare off people who weren't really serious about their business, but it was so good. And same with the workout. It was like the hardest freaking workout. Like walking onto the planes yesterday was like the hardest task of my life because my legs wanted to die, but it was all like so amazing. Like you truly just come out of it a whole different person, honestly. You just come out of it wanting to be better with your fitness and relationships and business. And I just need you guys to get there, honestly, because I can't even relate all of this to you. It was just so incredible. But yes, I can send you guys notes. It might not make total sense, but I can definitely do it. But one thing I just really wanted to reiterate to you guys is just the people. It wasn't even about business. That was my biggest takeaway, you guys. It's who we're working with. And the biggest thing I can tell you guys is like, yes, having a good company is important. You want to pick a good company. But what's more important is the people running the company and who you're working with. And I could not even explain to you guys. Like, I don't know if you watched my stories this morning, but I actually got emotional talking about it because one of the moments was Mark Wilson, and he literally was sitting there crying. He was literally crying, and he was the one talking to us about, you know, like family relationships and how you need to be present to your family and making sure you put them first. And he literally started crying so hard, and he was like, Q Sciences will never be the company that splits families apart. We will not be responsible for divorces or parents that are disconnected from their kids. Like, we will never be the company that is to blame for that. And that was something that just like made me sit back and be like, whoa, like that's how you know you're in the right place, is when they literally get emotional telling you that like, do not use this company as a way to disconnect from your family. Like, that is not why we're here. That is not the purpose of this. And like, your family should be number one. So just get to a Silver Summit so you can feel all of this and get this business training. We got to hear from Sarah Spencer. She gave us an FFM program training, and it like in detail, you guys, like she taught us like an exact breakdown of what percentage of your money should go to like savings and multiple different types of savings. You need to have an emergency fund, business funding, your actual like trip savings or whatever your goals are, what like your, you know, the extra thing you want to save for. It's just crazy. Like, I could literally go through 15 pages of notes here and just tell you guys absolutely everything we learned. And maybe I will do that another Zoom if you guys want. Like, there's literally so much I could share. But the other big thing I really wanted to talk to you guys about tonight is the thing that Kristen announced while we were gone. And that is her Executive Plus Academy. And that is the next best thing to talk about, because that is your guys' way to get this chance sooner than a silver summit. You don't have to wait until you go silver to be able to get this experience and meet the owners and, you know, get that high-end training and get to the corporate office. You guys now get a chance to go at Executive Plus, which is crazy, you guys, because what that means for your business is, well, not only are you going to get to meet the owners and get that training, which I cannot express enough how important it is, but thinking about it for your team as well, you guys, when you have teammates that go on this and they get to meet the owners and they get to do those things, those people will not leave your business. Like, as somebody who has had these experiences that have met the owners and, you know, got that like relationship with them, once you see the heart of this company, it seals people into this. They realize it's not just about the money, because I can honestly tell you guys, after everything I've experienced now, I could be making $0 still with this company and I would still be here because of how they treat people and because of how much they care. And that's what it's going to do to your team when they get these experiences too, right? So this is honestly so freaking big for people to get to go at only Executive Plus, which is only 2,500 volume. Like, that's insane. That's somebody who's basically just starting their business still is going to get the chance to go to Salt Lake City and go spend an entire day at the corporate office and, you know, be with Kristen and Claudia Gonzalez. I don't know how you pronounce it. Gonzalez. She's like unreal, you guys. Having met her, she's so funny, but like her tips for the business are unreal. Like, the fact that those two are doing it together and you get to learn from them at the corporate office. You're going to be given lunch. You're put up in the hotel across the street. There's like an amazing coffee shop in between the two. Like, you have to get the coffee, okay? Like, it will be the best day of your life, and you need to get yourself to Executive Plus so that you can get to there, okay? We already have 2 people. We already have Kenzie and Kim, who both have already done it. So they're going to go out in March and get that experience. And I'm so freaking excited. But yeah, so before we close this out, I wanted Crystal to hop on and even just share with you guys how exactly to go Executive Plus and like what that means and how to do it. So Crystal, does it let you unmute yourself?
Yes. Hi.
Okay, take it away.
Nice. Okay, so like I said, I am more of the educator. I am the detailed green personality, not so much the hype, but the details. Okay, so I got our amazing little comp plan here to show you guys. Okay, so they have the new Executive Plus rank on here. So okay, it's a little backwards. Here we go. So here's Executive Plus. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the couple things that you need to hit Executive Plus. So the first thing is obviously to have your 100 PV to get commission qualified. So have your 100 PV order ran, or that can be from customers, but we obviously encourage you to get the products so you're using them for yourself and sampling them out. So get yourself commission qualified if you're not. That's number 1. Number 2 is to have 2 personally enrolled ambassadors that are also commission qualified at 100 PV. Now that can come from their own orders, or it can come from their customers, their personal customers enrolled on their site. Okay, so you have to have 2, and they have to be personally enrolled on your site. Okay, so the 2 personally enrolled commission qualified ambassadors, and that will help you reach any of these ranks. But for Executive Plus, it's the 2,500 in volume. So before it was 1,500 for executive and then 4,500 for elite, but they added this in to make it 2,500 in volume. Okay, so this is honestly the only thing that I feel like is a little like more confusing on this whole thing, because this whole comp plan is like extremely simple to understand. But this next part is the part that sometimes is hard for people to understand. So the max OV from each leg is 60% at 1,500. So what that means is you can't just have your whole 2,500 coming from one leg. And the reason being is if you have somebody on your organization that has 2,500 in volume themselves, they're not going to pay you for that because you might not even be working, and then you could be getting paid off somebody else's work. So that's why they have it split. So 60% is the maximum volume that you can use. So you could use like half and half. Like if you had 2,500 in volume, you could have 1,250 on one leg, 1,250 on your other leg, or the combination of your second and third leg. How I like to think about it as, and I've always thought about it this way for some reason, but so you have, your max is 60% on one leg, right? So that means that 40% of that 2,500 has to come from your other two legs. So not your biggest leg, your other two legs. So 40% of that is going to be 1,000. Okay, so you have 1,500 and 1,000. So most of us, if we haven't hit bronze yet, we probably only have two legs. So how I like to think of it is, if I have 2,500 in volume, at least 1,000 needs to be on that other leg. Or if you do have 3 legs, at least 1,000 needs to come from those other 2 legs, not your biggest leg. So hopefully I explained that correctly. And then you also can earn a bonus. So they haven't announced the bonus yet. But what's really cool is it's 1 and 1. So that means if you earn and you hit Executive Plus this month, then you just maintain it for the one next month and you get paid out in one whole chunk versus getting it split. So that's really cool too. So yeah. Anybody have any questions on that? Oh, I see. You typed it all out. Awesome, Caitlin. Thanks.
No, that was so good. Unless anybody does have questions, I think that made so much sense. Can you let us know in the chat if that helped you? She explained it so good. So hopefully everybody understands. Give us a yes in the chat if like you perfectly understand how to go Executive Plus. Yes. Perfect. Yay. Okay. Thank you so much, Crystal. Oh my gosh. So thankful for you for doing that. I love this. Okay. So now let's end it with, what are you going to do to get there? Okay. So for those of you that are like, okay, I get it. Now, how do I go Executive Plus? The first thing you guys are going to do, and a lot of this we went over on like the game plan calls, if you're somebody who had a one-on-one with me. But the first thing you need to do is make sure you have your ABC list done, okay? Because if you don't, your whole business is not organized. Get that done, make it as big as you can so that it's super organized. And even if you have 10 minutes one day, you can just say, okay, today I'm going to focus on my B list. I'm going to go interact with a bunch of people. Or if there's a day where you know we have a QIQ that night, perfect. Spend that time on your A list, invite them to the event that night. And that way it's so easy to know exactly what you have to do each time, right? But the next thing for you guys is, if you are not voice messaging your invites, you need to switch what you're doing, because the people who are doing that instead of typing them are getting yeses. Like those people's businesses are going to the next level. Okay. Because there's something about a personal message that is you talking. It doesn't leave room for them to call it fake. It doesn't leave room for it to be, scam or copy and pasted. Like there's no room for that, because it's literally you talking to them. And it's so easy to just be personal and compliment them while you're doing it. And so, yeah, I'm just telling you right now, the people that are voice messaging their messages right now are absolutely killing it. I know Haley, for example, has been in my inbox all day because she messaged, what was it, like 11 people today, and 7 of them have already said yes and are watching the video. Like it's absolutely unreal, you guys. So that's the first thing you need to change, is get voice messaging. And you can practice by sending messages to yourself if you need. You can, if you want to send one to me or any of your other uplines, and just ask them to like listen to it and give you feedback if you need. That's perfect. Like do what you got to do. But get yourself to that point, because it will change your business. Oh yes, and that's a good tip too, Crystal. Crystal's got all the smart tips. Okay, if you're ever somebody who needs, like numbers and like smart people things, go to Crystal. Okay, she's so good. She'll tell you how to get a Google sheet like spreadsheet done. So go to Crystal for those questions. Oh my gosh, I love that. But no, okay, so the first thing you're gonna do is voice messages, okay? And you're going to invite people to the events. If you need to use a video, a lot of people have been using Marielle's 8-minute one, working so good. So definitely use that one if you need a video to watch or for them to watch. And just interact like crazy. Make sure you're growing your network. If it's the same people all the time, you're going to go through it too quickly, right? So make sure you're adding new people, make sure you're interacting and then inviting. Like those are honestly the best things you can do outside of course, your content. Like make sure you're posting and being in your stories. Another part of the training that Jake did that I feel like is so important is remembering that you are marketing yourself. Like you need to ask yourself every day, okay, how do I look professional in my content? Or, like, do I look like a crazy person that they're not going to trust? And by that, I don't mean that you need to be like put together with hair and makeup. But I mean, like, if you're wanting to attract really business oriented people, you want to sound confident, get yourself to a point where like, what you're talking about, right? You're excited about it. Are you excited? Are you positive? Because if you're not a positive person, you are going to attract more negative people. Whatever you put out there is what you are going to get, right? So if you're somebody who's very just like monotone and like, you complain about things on your Facebook, whether it's like statuses or in your stories, you're talking about drama, you're just going to attract more of that. You are not going to change your business by bringing in amazing hard workers when you are giving off a negative vibe, right? You have to check yourself and just ask how you are marketing yourself, because that is more important than the company, than the products. Like they see you before they see the company and the products, right? So make sure you are marketing yourself in a good way, okay? There's a couple more things I'll just share. One thing is just remembering, I feel like this was really important for a lot of people too, because I feel like with the wave of a lot of top leaders coming from other companies, a lot of people have started to switch their focus and feel like they need to be attracting like big leaders and focusing on those types of people, right? And Jake actually looked at those top leaders. It was such a good moment, honestly. He looked at them and he was like, I love you guys and I'm so proud of you, but so many are focused on bringing in the leaders. And that's only going to be 20% of your business, and you're focusing on the wrong thing. 80% of your business are people that have no experience, but are willing to try, and they're willing to give you a chance. And if you're only looking for those big leaders that, you think are good enough, you are literally ruling out 80% of the people in the world, and you're marketing to the wrong people. So don't stress if you feel like, you need to keep up with people or be enrolling, big leaders. Like you don't. 80% of the people in the world are not that type of person. So just make sure you're marketing yourself well, be excited, be positive, just love what you're doing, and you will bring in people regardless of their experience level. And that is the most important. Okay. Just remembering that anybody is capable of this. Like everybody starts at zero. That's what we have to remember. All of us who are killing it, we started at zero sometime. Yes, it might have been 5 years ago before Q, but like I signed up from one post, you guys. I joined network marketing because I saw a post one time from somebody who was working from home in network marketing. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I still went triple diamond in less than a year. Like you don't know who it is that you're bringing in, right? And so if you're ruling somebody out just because they don't have experience, you're doing it wrong. So just forget all of that. If that's something you're telling yourself, don't worry about it. Just focus on helping anybody you can. Okay. There was one more thing. Oh yeah. There was one more line, you guys, that I feel like it actually gave me like chills. And so I'm just going to leave it with this. Okay. One thing he said, and this was in regards to like events, getting to events, getting your team to events, or going to see people on your team, like whatever you have to do, getting to like meet the people you're working with, right? That's what we were talking about. And he said, if you are not seeing your team in real life, you're making money off of them, not with them. And that literally gave me chills because it's so true. If you are never making an effort to get somewhere to meet your team, you are just making money off of people and you're not actually working with them. So that's what I will end it with. Make sure you guys have your ticket to the next event, because it will change your life. It will change your team's life. Get yourself there, meet your team, work together. It's just everything. So make sure you have that. And yeah, that's all I'll leave you guys with for tonight. We're gonna all go Executive Plus so that we can all get to the office with Kristen next month. It's March 14th, I believe. So I cannot wait to see more of you going Executive Plus. We can cheer you on. Oh yes, oh the Australian convention. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. They have that one next weekend and oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you, Mandy. And that's, you know, what it's really about here at Q, because when you can go meet somebody, it just makes it so much more serious. It's not like you're working separately, you know, like competing with people. It's literally like you've met them, you're loving on them, you're working together. And when people can meet, you know, Jake and Mark and see the culture of this company, I promise you it will change everything you feel about this industry. It is so different here. It's so unlike anything you will ever experience. So yes, let's leave it at that. And I can't wait to cheer more of you on to Executive Plus. Have a good night, guys.